This is The Scoop for Thursday.
I'm Lisa Marzilli with the WMNF News headlines. The Tallahassee Democrat reports that Florida State University has quietly dismantled its Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office amid Governor Ron DeSantis' push to eliminate DEI in higher ed statewide. According to the Democrat, FSU did it mainly by changing title names and reclassifying positions of employees who were already working in DEI, an approach that did not require laying anyone off. The revelation of FSU's moves comes a few days after the University of Florida in Gainesville very publicly announced that it had eliminated its related programs by firing all of its DEI employees. A small newspaper in Pinellas County says the campaign manager for a city council candidate suggested that someone should pay a reporter for a positive article. WMNF Sean Canan has more.
There's only one city council race up for grabs in the South Pinellas beach community of Gulfport. Tom Bixler is challenging incumbent April Thanos. In its new issue, the Gabber newspaper says that Bixler's campaign manager did not technically attempt to bribe its reporter, but that an ethical line was crossed when the campaign manager even brought up the idea of a payment. The Gabber's publisher concludes by saying, "Our editorial pages and posts are not for sale." The last day to vote is next Tuesday. For WMNF News, I'm Sean Canan.
A new study shows Tampa's streetcar system is one of the most efficient in the nation. WMNF's Chris Young reports that the county's transit agency is hoping it stays that way in the coming years.
Justin Willits is the Director of Planning and Scheduling for Hillsborough Area Regional Transit, or HART.
It's really finally become, after 20 or so years, the real asset that a lot of people expected it to be when it was built, in my opinion.
The Cato Institute compared operating expenses of urban streetcars in cities across the country. Tampa was joined by Tucson, Kansas City, and Philadelphia in having high ridership and low operating costs. Wilt credits high ridership for the low cost of service. However, HART is updating the way they calculate transit costs. This new model might create a higher cost estimation per trip for the streetcar.
It's still going to be one of the most efficient, lowest cost per trip services in the country, so long as we keep operating it free and frequently.
The streetcar will remain fare-free through September due to a $700,000 grant by FDOT. But come October, the streetcar will need a new source of funding.
So now the city and HART are trying to work together to identify that funding to both maintain the existing frequent and free service, but also come up with the additional costs for the overhead.
HART is also considering expanding the route of the streetcar.
The city is still working on finding funding to extend it up to Palm Avenue and Tampa Heights, and maybe someday beyond.
The 2.7-mile-long streetcar route links downtown Tampa to Channelside and Ybor. For WMNF News, I'm Chris Young.
Manatee County commissioners passed an ordinance Tuesday that would make a fare-free pilot program permanent in the county. Spectrum News reports that in November of 2022, commissioners kickstarted an 18-month pilot program that allowed residents to take the bus free of charge for certain bus routes with Manatee County Area Transit. Data shows the program has been wildly successful, with ridership up 28% the first 6 months and well over a 50% increase in just 18 months. The Tampa Bay Times reports the Rays' $1.3 billion stadium deal is not done yet and could come down to a close city council vote, where a tie would mean no deal. Council members Richie Floyd and Lisette Hanowitz have been openly critical of financial terms of the deal. Council member John Muhammad has voiced the same concerns about the proposal. The Times notes that if these three skeptics vote no and are joined by one more colleague, the Rays could be back where they started 16 years ago when owners began asking for a new stadium. They say more will be known about where council members stand with two upcoming public meetings. Both meetings are workshops that will precede a vote that's expected in May. It's going to be partly sunny and warm with a high of 85 today. Lows tonight will be in the upper 60s, and the same forecast is on tap for Friday. I'm Lisa Marzilli with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.